Now joined by TSN hockey insider Pierre LeBrun. Pierre, Anthony Stolarz not going to Florida with the team today. What, if anything, can we read into that?
Yeah, as expected. I mean, what I'm being told is he's obviously following the steps in his protocol. We're looking at least 7 days here in terms of his recovery when you have a head injury. And from there, it's hard to predict when he'll be back or when he'll feel ready. He's not skated yet, so it makes no sense to put him on a plane, obviously. But we'll see where it goes. I mean, the Leafs, as they said yesterday, feel that he feels better after what happened in Game 1. But with Joseph Woll playing the way he did in Game 2, it's less of a concern or less of a situation where you're desperate. But the bottom line for Stolarz, you don't know if he'll be back again in this series.
So much talk about the Leafs goaltending because of the injury to Stolarz, but is the bigger question mark right now in Florida's net? I mean, Sergei Bobrovsky's allowed 9 goals in this series. The Leafs only scored 10 on him in that 5-game series back in 2023. What is going on with Bobrovsky?
Well, it's a bigger question in terms of performance through 2 games. It's not the bigger question in terms of having a lack of confidence for the Florida Panthers and Sergei Bobrovsky. They absolutely, as they said after Game 2, expect them to bounce back. Here's the one thing I would say about Sergei Bobrovsky, who's been unbelievable the last 2 playoff runs and 2 straight cup finals and a cup championship. Behind the scenes, the Panthers will tell you that if he plays too many games over a long stretch, he can tire down at his age, like most goalies would. But I don't know that that's the situation we're in here. I mean, he played 54 games this year, which is in that zone where teams want their starters to be limited to, right, in terms of sports science. But they had a 7-day break before the playoffs, and then they had a nice break after a 5-game win over Tampa. So fatigue should not be a factor right now for Bobrovsky. Frankly, I think it's what Paul Maurice said after Game 2. Too many dangerous rush chances on Sergei Bobrovsky. That's why he's getting scored on.
You mentioned the fatigue factor. If it's not a factor for Bobrovsky, is there any chance it's a factor for the team in front of him?
I think you at least have to ask the question, and I did after Game 2 to Paul Maurice and to Aaron Ekblad, Mark, and they completely deny it, as you might expect. But here's the thing. I mean, we've seen it in the past. I mean, they're trying to go to their 3rd straight cup final, and it's a difficult thing, in terms of a lot of hockey over 2 years. I think they've done a pretty good job trying to mitigate that throughout the regular season. Again, they had a long break for the playoffs. Paul Maurice says it's not a factor in terms of their energy levels. But I still think you have to ask the question. It's pretty rare for teams to play that much hockey 3 years in a row.
Off day in the series, and both teams actually talking about similar things in terms of trying to tighten things up. We've seen a lot of goals going in this series.
We don't want that. We love what we're seeing through 2 games in terms of the entertainment. Game 2 was unreal. But I remember turning to you during Game 2 and saying, this is not what Craig Berube and Paul Maurice actually want in terms of their game plan. Too many scoring chances. Craig Berube on this day saying, we want to give up less to Florida in terms of their looks. And, of course, the Panthers last night, Paul Maurice saying too many dangerous rushes for the Leafs. So I anticipate that if both coaches get their way, we're looking more at a 2-1, 3-2 game come Game 3.
Steven Lorenz said it was beautiful, the fans, in Toronto for the first 2 games. The building was more alive than he's seen it all season. The Panthers now get set to host a couple of games, and we'll see if that changes the dynamic in this series.